everyone, I'm Summer, and this is my channel, Red Lipstick Book Addict, where we like to talk about romances, mysteries, thrillers, and so much more. All opinions are welcome, of course, because here we like to talk about not only why we love to love books, but also why we love to hate them. And today we're going to be talking about It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. And as you might know, there is a movie that they did based on this book that just was released, starring Blake Lively, and I'm really excited to go see that. Hopefully, I like it as much as I like the book, because I did really quite enjoy this one. And as you can see, I got all my tabs here. I'm having a hard time not playing with them. I got to tab this while I was on a road trip to Atlanta, Georgia. I was actually up there on my way to get married. And so it was like a 10-hour drive, and I was like, I'm gonna get my notes for my book review, because I wasn't the one driving. And yeah, so these are color coded, and I'm gonna get into that in a little bit, but first let's just briefly go over the synopsis of the book. So It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. It follows a woman named Lily Bloom, who, of course, ends up opening a floral shop. I mean, how could she not with her name? And she loves gardening, and she kind of forges her own path, and she is not afraid of change, which is the thing that I really admired most about her character. She's very brave and bold, in my opinion. So Lily, she fell in love when she was young with a boy named Atlas, who was homeless when she met him, and she kind of saved his life. And then Atlas ends up moving away, and she never sees him again, or she thinks she'll never see him again. And she ends up meeting this guy named Ryle, who seems really good on paper. He's, attractive, and he's a neurosurgeon. And the one thing that makes him not as appealing in Lily's eyes is that he does not want a serious relationship. This man doesn't even want a casual relationship. He is one night stand only. He's very honest and blunt with Lily about this when he meets her. And Lily, something interesting to know about her backstory is she grew up in a domestic violence household. So she watched her father abuse her mother. And it's really sad because, Lily, as a child, she resents her mom for not leaving her father. And she resents her dad too, but I think more than that, she resents her mom. But then Lily goes on to have an abusive relationship. And it makes her realize, that it wasn't as simple to leave as she thought. And it makes her gain a new respect and understanding towards her mother, which I think is really beautiful. But it also is what ultimately gives Lily the strength to leave her abusive relationship. So, relationships, toxic relationships, domestic violence, something I'm really passionate about, and I will be leaving some resources in the description of the video for anybody that may be a victim or that may know a victim, so they can know who to reach out to if they need help, or if they need to find out where to report something. Because I think it's really important. It's fun to talk, talk critic stuff, and it's fun to, it's easy to forget what we really need to be focused on, and that is, like, the message of this book is to try to help people like Lily. So I think that's really important. I've always liked the name Lily, by the way. And I was like, oh, I hope this book doesn't ruin that name for me, because that's always been like my favorite name for a girl. But anyway, no, I did like her character. So, okay, now that we have talked about what the book is about, I'm going to tell you just some quick ratings that I have for the book. So, I know that there's a lot of controversy about this because, a lot of people are hating on Colleen Hoover right now, and I'm not even going to get into that. But also, it's hard when you're writing a book about something so heavy. This book, it covers a topic that you want to really cover respectfully. So I think that is just a challenge to write a book about domestic violence that people can say like, oh, you did that right. You know, no victim is the same, no abuser is the same. Like, we're all unique people, and like, I think what Colleen Hoover was trying to say in this book is that like, not everybody is your textbook definition of an abuser, because Ryle is a complex character, and obviously he sucks. Like, I hate him, whatever, you know, he's an abuser. But also there are these moments, the parts where Lily fell in love with him for, that make it confusing. And I think that was important to include in the book, and it wasn't to romanticize the abuse. The reason Colleen Hoover added those good parts about Ryle in there is so that we could see kind of through Lily's eyes, you know, like, what makes it so confusing in that mindset. You know, like, she fell in love with him before she knew he was an abuser. Now, I will say, though, I do gotta say, it was a bit of a red flag when Lily literally met Ryle as he was throwing a little temper tantrum on the rooftop, like throwing around furniture. Like, that should have been your first red flag for real. I would have been running for the hills, but I mean, that's just me. That's just me. Anyway, so, okay, I'm going to talk to you about, yes, the rating. I'm sorry, I'm like, my ADD is so bad. So, 4 stars. I'm going to give it 4 stars. I almost gave it 5, and the only reason why I decided to go with 4 instead is because I think I do agree that there should have been a little bit more emphasis on the ugliness of the abuse, just to make sure that we weren't, I don't think that she was romanticizing domestic violence, but I think this book, it has so many heavy and light themes in it, and I do think that it was just kind of maybe not as realistic. You know, I know that no relationship is the same, but I do think that maybe if you're going to write a book about domestic violence, it could have been a little bit more realistic. Because the way that Lily ends up leaving Ryle is so clean cut dry. That is not the way that it normally happens. Like, it's breaking a trauma bond is really hard. So I think that is why I took off one of the stars. But I give it 4 stars. I do, because I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was written really well, and I loved that it was like so multi-layered and complex. There was parts about friendship. There was parts about, you know, like female empowerment. There was parts about breaking cycles, like generational cycles, and it covered so many things, like the way that people think when it comes to like how they view the victim and the abuser, and like, I don't know, it's just, to me, it was a really good book, and I really did enjoy it. But now I'm going to get into the tabs. So I color coded them. The blue ones are the ones that, in my opinion, were like tear jerkers. They were emotionally evoking. And then the orange tabs are the spicy scenes, or the sexy scenes, or like the more like passionate scenes, even if they weren't necessarily sexy. And then the pink is the sweet, the romantic, or the warm, you know, just those scenes that make you feel warm and fuzzy. And the green are the ones, the parts in the book that made me cringe, like it gave me the ick. And the yellow is the ones that were just, you know, funny or amusing, or just kind of made me smile. Because I feel like this kind of brought out all the emotions. So, okay, let's see. So first, let's go to the blue tab. Oh, yes. So this is the part where I think we're able to see that Colleen Hoover really knows how to hook people in on the first page. It starts out where Lily is, she's on the rooftop and she's thinking about death. She doesn't want to die or anything, but she's thinking about death. And she's thinking about the fact that she just gave a eulogy at her dad's funeral, and it was anything but painting a good picture of him. Basically, she got up there and was like, well, let me tell you all the good things about my dad. And then she just proceeds to say nothing as a way to prove a point that she had nothing good to say about him. And so that one, I gave it a blue tab because I thought that made me feel something. And then let's go to another blue tab for fun. So there it is. So the part where something moving. Oh yes. This part made me feel something because this is the part where Lily figures out that Atlas is homeless. And I love that Lily didn't immediately think, ew, gross. You know, like I think a lot of people are really judgmental of homeless people. And for Atlas to be homeless so young, you know, he's in high school. There's a reason behind that. Like, you know, there's such a stigma against homeless people. And so I appreciate that Colleen Hoover kind of was trying to end the stigma with that, because Atlas is homeless, but he's a great person and he's not lazy. He's a really hard worker, and he's not any of the things that I think some people like to try to stereotypically try to say about homeless people. So I enjoyed that. And then let's just go to, I'm not going to do all these tabs. I'm not going to do that to you. But let's go to one of the green ones. One of the parts that made me cringe. I'm surprised I don't have more of those. It's kind of hard to find the green. Am I tripping? Oh boy. I think my green looked like the yellow, so I apologize. Y'all, I don't know if I see a green one in here. Oh my gosh. What happened? Y'all, I'm sorry. I found one finally. Oh, I'm glad I found this one. This one it gave me the ick. Made me angry, and it gave me the ick. So this part is whenever Ryle proposes to Lily, and it is just pathetic, y'all. It is not romantic. He did not make me fall in love with him one bit right here. So I'm just gonna say this one line, and maybe you'll like it, but it's not cute to me. I'm so excited to be your husband, I could piss my damn pants. Sir, what? No. No. And then he walks in, he's eavesdropping on their conversation, because Lily is talking with Raul's sister, and they're talking about marriage and whatnot, and I don't know, somebody says something about getting married in Vegas, and Ryle is like, I'd get married to you right now. You want to go get married in Vegas? And it's just like, man, I don't know, whatever. That just ain't for me. Like, you really couldn't do better. Like, you're a neurosurgeon, dude. You couldn't afford a good wedding for her. You couldn't afford a romantic proposal. You're a neurosurgeon. No. Yeah, I didn't like that. That done pissed me off. Like, I'm sorry. Anyway, so that part was interesting. And then, ooh, we got a little off track there. I'm sorry. I've been sitting on this review for a few days. So if I seem not as like focused as normal, that is why. I like to do it fresh after I read the book, but I had to wait. I think this is like a week after I finished reading this book. So let's get into. I really hope I've learned how to edit videos, because I know I'm gonna have to edit some of this out, y'all. For real. Bear with me. Okay, so this part right here. Oh man, I hate this part. Okay. Ryle's sister, I almost forgot her name. Ryle's sister, Alyssa. She's a good friend, y'all. Because most people would say that if they knew somebody was being abused, they would support them in a heartbeat, right? Well, it's easy to say that until it's your brother or it's your friend or it's your this or that. And Ryle is Alyssa's brother. So when Lily comes to her and is like, Ryle's abusing me, you know I was at the edge of my seat, like, what is Alyssa gonna say? That's a good test to see, like, is she really a true friend? You know, like, is she really a girl's girl? And Alyssa does the right thing, and she says basically, like, as his sister, I hope you give him a chance, but as your best friend, I'll never speak to you again if you don't leave him. Which maybe that part is like, okay, but I get what she's saying. She's saying, you know, you shouldn't have to stay with him. And also, I love that she tells Lily, we can plan a baby shower for you without Ryle, because it's like, why should Lily not have the joy of the baby shower just because she got this baby with somebody that, you know, didn't deserve the baby from her? She should still get to enjoy and soak up the joy of pregnancy. And so Alyssa is a good friend, and she put her friendship with her and supporting a victim of domestic violence over supporting her brother, which, you know, it sounds easy, but it's a lot harder when nobody wants to hear that somebody that they love is doing something like what Ryle was doing. So that might have been one of my favorite parts in the book, actually. It really, like, it makes me want to cry, honestly. And okay, and then I'm just going to go over one more tab because I don't want to overwhelm you with all of this, even though I could go on and on. Okay, of course I landed on this page. I was about to talk about this anyway. So let's just talk about the part where Lily tells Ryle she's trying to decide whether or not she is gonna stay or she's gonna leave him. And she gives birth. Ryle's there with her, and she gives birth to the baby, and she's looking down at her daughter, and she's like, you know, Ryle, I want a divorce, because she doesn't want her baby girl to see her mom go through abuse, because she knows then first of all, she shouldn't have to see that, and secondly, like, she might go on to have an abusive relationship if she sees that, because I mean, kids, they do tend to kind of model what they see at home. And even when, you know, with Lily, like, she never thought she'd end up in an abusive relationship because she couldn't stand the fact that her mom stayed, but she still ended up repeating the pattern because it just happens. I don't know what it is. Like, that's a hard, generational cycles are hard to break. They truly are. So anyway, so yeah, of course, that part, I remember whenever Lily says, you know, like, she makes the right decision, it did make me tear up a little bit. But then I did go on to think about it later, and I thought, wow, I'm not saying that every situation's like this, but for a lot of people in an abusive relationship of any kind, physical, emotional, sexual, whatever you want to call it, most people would not be able to just leave and that be like it. Most victims always go back. They always go back because it's a trauma bond. Trauma bonds are so hard to break. And this is something that I think that people are extremely uneducated about. Not everybody, but a lot of people. And, you know, people try to blame the victim, whether it be a man or a woman, because, you know, men can be victims of domestic violence too, y'all. Remember that. But people tend to ask the victim why they didn't just leave, which is the most ignorant thing on the planet. It makes me want to, But really, we should be asking, why are the abusers abusing? You know, why are we putting all this blame on the victim? We should be wondering, why are these people, how are they getting away with this abuse? And, like, what can we do to stop it? Not, why don't they leave? It's easier said than done, you know? So I did appreciate that theme in the book of, like, we've got to shift the blame off the victim, because people are still doing it, and it's 2024, y'all. Like, that's ridiculous. I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie. I have so many thoughts. I don't even know how to put it all into this video. But there was parts of this book that made me laugh. There was parts of this book that made me cry. Honestly, for real. And there was some spicy scenes. There was. Sadly, the spicy scenes was with the guy that ended up being an abuser, but I'm looking forward to reading the book. It Starts With Us, because that is the second book in the series. And before I read these books, I was like, which one is the first book? Is it Ends With Us or Starts With Us? Is it the Starts With Us in the first book because it says starts? Like, I was like so confused. But y'all, this is the first one. I feel like you should read this one first and then go read It Starts With Us. But you could probably do either one. But I don't know. I recommend reading this one first. I'm going to read It Starts With Us and tell you what I think of that one. I really look forward to it because I loved Atlas. His character is just, I really loved him as a character. And he did all the right things. Like, it was so easy to like Atlas. Oh, so I really liked Lily. I thought there were some parts that were a little bit unrealistic, but I liked Lily a lot. I liked Alyssa a lot. Alyssa was funny. I liked her, and she was cool, and I thought it was funny. Her husband, Marshall, reminded me of Marshall off How I Met Your Mother, which I think that Colleen Hoover wrote Marshall to be like Marshall off of How I Met Your Mother. I'm almost positive. There were some scenes in it that reminded me so much of that TV show. I watch it almost every night, so that's why I noticed it. And then, yeah, I do like that Ryle had moments that he was likable, because it just goes to show that, like, you can't put anybody in a box. Like, people are so complex that in real life, it's easy to say, well, this person's all good. I mean, in real life, it's easy to, in a book, it's easy to say somebody's all good or all bad. But in real life, it's harder to say if somebody's all good or all bad, because people are complex. People do good things and they do bad things, and it gets really blurry. So, you know, I would classify this genre as a drama. I wouldn't say like, oh, it's this big romance book, because it focuses on so many different themes. I would say it's a drama. I would say it's about breaking generational curses. If you're into that, read this. I would say it's about female empowerment and about the complex nuances of a toxic relationship. And I think I'm gonna end there because I don't want to like overflow the video with too much information. But yeah, please let me know if you have any thoughts about this book, what you thought about my analysis of it. And I'm really sorry I'm all over the place in this. My ADD is so bad because like I said, I read this like a week ago, so like my thoughts are just like, and let me know if you saw the movie and if it's worth it for me to go see it. All right, thank you for watching, and please give me a little like. It helps the video, and if you're interested in reviews of books, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and hope to see you here again. All right, thanks, bye.